The yandere, a woman who won't let anything get in the way of claiming her man, who believes love conquers all, and that a restraining order is a mere misunderstanding. Thrilling and mysterious, the yandere has been notably featured in anime such as The Future Diary, but today we will discuss a series which went largely overlooked when it aired recently called Momokuri, or as I prefer to call it, The Adventures of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy. The yandere is not your typical anime heroine, and The Adventures of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is not your typical romance show. In fact, the heroine of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is not even your typical yandere. While popularly portrayed as a seductive sociopath, Stalker-Chan offers a different portrayal of the yandere, and with her attempts to present herself as an idealized version of femininity to her crush. This is in direct contrast with the popular portrayal of the lengths the yandere will go to prove her love, instead focusing on how far Stalker-Chan will go to hide her love. And while the yandere is typically portrayed as an avatar of sex and violence, Stalker-Chan instead is presented as a clueless girl naive in the ways of romance, a bumbling idiot, more likely to hurt herself than her rivals in the process of eliminating them. And yet, it is due to that bumbling nature that the relationship between Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy even begins. After sneakily taking hundreds of photos of her crush, roaming through his garbage, and building a voodoo doll in his image using hair she borrowed from him, Stalker-Chan makes a vow to herself that she'll confess her feelings. However, in the process of telling her crush how she feels, Stalker-Chan screws up fantastically. And yet it is this part of her personality that Wonder Boy finds immensely attractive. And it is thus that he earns his name. Because boy is it a miracle anyone would put up with her shit. Too bad no one ever told Wonder Boy you shouldn't stick your dick in crazy. Stalker-Chan, it has to be said, is a bit of a cougar. She finds the younger Wonder Boy a forbidden fruit too tempting to resist taking a nibble on, and even after officially dating, can't quite give up her habit of stealthily watching and drooling over everything he does. Wonder Boy, for his part, is a bit like one of those birds who sit in the mouth of a crocodile eating leftovers, blissfully unaware of the precarious position it has gotten into. The driving force of much of the comedy in the series is how the protagonists enable the most humiliating character flaws in the other, causing them to both pretend to be someone they aren't around their crush, trying to hide the depth of their feelings and the intensity of those feelings, and in the process attempt to be someone they think the other person wants them to be. This results in plenty of miscommunications and a comedy of errors, because it is a puppy love, and like a puppy, their relationship is adorably awkward. Yet comedy itself can sometimes be awkward or just plain unfunny, and the great thing about the structure of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is that it is mostly composed of different self-contained scenes, so it is more like watching a series of newspaper comic strips pieced together and animated than a singular story. This is the great strength of the series, because if a joke isn't funny, it is already on to the next one, whereas in some series which are more plot-focused, a lame character or arc can be introduced and the audience is forced to put up with it. This narrative structure also allows variations of the main comedic premise, the absurdity of the relationship, to be explored without becoming stale and repetitive. But it isn't just Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy who carry the show. The side characters are refreshingly creeped out by the relationship of the protagonist and banter ceaselessly over them with it. It's a nice change of pace from most anime where side characters exist as a power friendship power-up, or act as cheerleaders for the romance of the protagonist, basically used by the author to tell the audience how they should feel. Instead, by being self-aware of the absurdity of the relationship between the protagonists, the side characters act as the voice of reason, and this contrast produces comedic effect as well as highlighting and making all the more powerful the absurdist comedy of the protagonist relationship by having something to compare it to. While the series is a great comedy, it also has moments of insight. Stalker-Chan knows factoids and trivia about her boyfriend, but she doesn't really know who he is as a person. For his part, Wonder Boy knows he likes Stalker-Chan, but is honestly afraid of her liking him back, and the two of them establishing a relationship beyond blushing at each other. The anxiety both protagonists have over the nature of their relationship is a very real worry that most couples will have. Is my relationship genuine? Will our feelings for each other fade? If they got to know the real me, would they still like me? By inserting these moments of reality, the series becomes more than just a series of unrelated gags and one-liners, but finds a unifying cohesion. It draws upon worries we may have ourselves and allows for empathy. Most importantly, it evokes in the audience a desire to see the relationship succeed, This human element is key for great comedy, and I must admit it was altogether surprising to see in a series that originated as a collection of web-based shorts, as empathy is not the first thing one thinks about when it comes to the internet. Yet perhaps it is due to being spawned from the internet that the adventures of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is able to incorporate elements which make it more than a standard moe blob fairy tale romance. If the sight of lovey-dovey couples vomiting rainbows down each other's throats sends you into an endless rage, then this is the show for you. Because ultimately, this series is about a subversive sentimentality. Stalker-Chan is no prim and proper waifu. Her lewdness is the catalyst for many of the events in the series. And instead of existing as an object to be admired from afar, displays lust and desires to have that lust satisfied by her crush. Wonder Boy himself subverts this by taking on the role of moe blob waifu, contrasting his pure girl status with the lewdness of Stalker-Chan to create tension. Romance in modern anime, this series says, is nothing but teasing and shipping with no true goal or consummation, making it so anime characters are now known not best for blue hair, but for blue balls. In subverting a sentimentality, the series is similar to Watamote, in that the comedy's schadenfreude catharsis comes from cringing at the protagonist and her obsessive personality, but Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is different in that as the series goes on, the protagonists learn not only who they are, but how to be happy with who they are, and how to form relationships with others. So while cringing at the behavior of the protagonist, they also endear themselves to the audience, and it is that simultaneous mockery of cheap sentimentality, while also portraying the very real anxiety and joy that comes from trying to achieve actual love, which subverts the standard formula of romance in modern anime. The Adventures of Stalker-Chan and Wonder Boy is not your typical romantic comedy, and in an industry that is increasingly reliant on sequels and being nothing more than commercials for light novels, proves that there's still plenty to love about anime.